the right to life and liberty. We're all created equally in America, and we're going to live here happily in America. Our founding fathers crossed the seas and built the new world colonies. But King George wouldn't set them free, so they fought a revolution, the American Revolution. Oh, we the people.
Hi, my name's Diane Miller. Thanks so much for joining us. You're watching the Just Kidding Around show. And I am thrilled to be welcoming local celebrity Diane Gaile. Excuse me, Diane, for spelling your name wrong in the credits.
Okay.
It's Gaile.
Thank you, Diane.
And if Diane looks familiar, it's because she is the owner and director of the Mariah Art Institute, and she's also been teaching art in our community for 25 years. And aren't you a big promoter? And
The procession of the species.
Yeah, the procession.
Yes, I'm quite a promoter of that. The first workshops were at the Mariah Art School. And,
Isn't that something?
yes, and Eli Sterling was back then starting that,
yes,
and still
Eli.
going strong.
He used to be on the TCTV board.
Yes, he
He used
did.
to be a producer here. Yes. So I'd like to look into the camera and say hi to the students at Lydia Hawk and South Bay.
I'd like to say hi to all my Mariah Art students, the ones that are there now and the ones that are clear up in college these days.
Wow,
So we've had
isn't
many
that
artists
something?
and come from the school, and exciting
Wow.
to say
And
hello to everyone.
And I heard some of your students made these.
Yes, we decided to study the dragon because for the Chinese New Year's this year is the year of the dragon. And Chinese dragons, well, in the Chinese culture, red is a sign of good luck, so we're going to paint in red today.
Is that why you're wearing red?
Well, I thought it would coordinate a little bit. You know how all of that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Great.
But at Mariah, we take our children. We have some work here that children are 5 to 12 years old, so depending on how old they are, then you'll see their development. We start with a drawing lesson, and it's step by step. And today we're going to have a fun technique. We're going to draw upside down.
Oh.
There's a wonderful book called Drawing from the Right Side of the Brain, and when you draw things upside down, it teaches you shape instead of being overwhelmed by the object. So today we're going to draw upside down, and I don't know if you've ever done that, but I know you always come through as one of my favorite art students.
Oh, right. Diane's been on our show several times, but she hasn't been on for
a while, but you've
about
always
3
done the
years.
art lesson and done well and surprised yourself.
We usually work with clay, though. In fact, you used to do shows in the old studio. That's how long
Yeah,
ago.
we had kids in them.
Wow.
But today we're going to use just some real simple line direction, diagonal, vertical, horizontal. We teach those to even 3-year-old children because being able to use the verbal content is really helpful in creating. So we're going to start with the diagonal line on the dragon's eye, and we're going to start on the eye because we're starting on the inside and we're going to go to the outside. So on this side of the paper, and you see this diagonal right here, we had this beautiful dragon that was drawn and painted by one of my teachers, Alicia Martinson. And so this is her sample, and we're going to use it tonight. She pulled off a paper cut image from the computer, and the younger children did a simpler image, and then the older students did a more complicated image. And so the teacher draws step by step. And so I wanted to thank her for lending this to me tonight.
Yes, we appreciate that.
Okay. So we're going to start with a diagonal line. And you want to use the right-hand side and the corner there. So we're going to draw fairly large. Just a simple diagonal line is what we're going to do. And underneath that line, or on top of that line, you're going to put a curve going down. A curve going down. Beautiful. Just simple terms that you can do. And inside of this half moon shape, we're going to put a tiny half circle with a tiny half circle inside of it, so there'll be a glint of light when we go to paint. So those are all really easy terms. Now, there are really only a few masters, but truly everyone can draw, and draw well if they Just some simple vocabulary words. Okay, so now we're going to do an eyebrow up above, and that eyebrow is going to follow the shape, and it's just going to be a line with, again, a little bit of a curve on the top of it.
Oh, raise. Is that right?
Well, that'll be all right. When we paint really can take care of any little corrections that you'd like to make.
Okay.
In art, I really like people to know that it's okay to erase, it's okay to change, and it's absolutely okay to look different than something you're trying to copy. We all see things uniquely and individually. Okay, I think once we get the red paint on this
showing up. Yeah.
Not real well. We'll continue
Sometimes
trying to
white
draw
paper doesn't
hard,
show.
and
Okay.
so we have the eyebrow there, and over the top of the eyebrow, you're going to bring a curve, and you're going to bring it down to that diagonal line. Like that, okay? Oh, there we go. A curve with
Oh,
the okay.
good camera work.
Thank you. You kept right up with me changing on you. I'll try not to do that. Okay, so where that line stopped, that bottom of that line, you're going to bring out the snout of the dragon. So you're going to bring another diagonal line out. Okay. And on the end of it, he's got his nostril, a bump, and a little snout around, little round curve. And inside that, you're going to put a moon-shaped snout, a diagonal with a curve on the top.
Oh, it's okay. Please don't. You just show it to the camera. Don't
Okay,
even
just
show
like
me.
that. Oh, it's starting to show pretty good there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry about me. I'll just... Your instructions verbally are so good.
Great.
I'm understanding.
Okay. So we're going to bring the roof of the mouth of the dragon, and we're going to bring it back towards the eye and scoop down in a little bit of a curve.
So... Okay.
Now, there's going to be a tongue we're going to come back and put in there, but this part is the lower jaw. It curves up just part of the way to the nostril.
Okay.
And then it makes a small point and curves back down, basically parallel, side by side with the other curve. The thing about Chinese dragons that I've learned is they have a lot of whiskers and feathers fly. And so off the bottom of the chin, first we'll bring the tongue on the inside, and that's going to be a point with a little bit of a curve on it, the inside of the mouth. And then you want to add we'll put whiskers on the bottom. Okay, and come down to the lower jaw, and we're going to make a curve out and a curve in. And we'll be drawing a side-by-side parallel line ending in a point. So that looks like this. And stop on the point. And then you're going to draw another one, and it's going to be a little bit shorter. Same shape, a curve.
You have very good instructions.
Side-by-side line to a point. Well, I think seeing it and hearing words that help your brain function easier. And the more we do that, the better we can become at drawing. So that's what we do a lot of. And we're going to take and come up to the front, or to under the neck, and we're going to bring down a curved line that goes out towards the side of your page.
Sorry.
Great, that's great. That'll be just fine. Now we're going to start to put some of those feathers on the top of the head above the eye. So you're going to, where this eye comes and up to make a curve right here, then right in this spot we're going to again bring a curved line, curve down, curve up, do a side by side, and then bring it to a point. That's okay. Everyone's a little bit different. And so you want to add the same idea but a little bit smaller. So we're going to come flat out, make a little short flat line. And then you're going to connect a piece of that feather, so it's going to curve down and back up. You're going to do another side by side to a point. And then we'll do one more, a little flat, add on the curve down, the curve up, a little bit shorter, side by side to a point. All right, so now this dragon's going to have some kind of an ear. So we're going to bring down below that area right there, we're going to bring a curve out, and we're going to taper it and bring it to a point, kind of like a little apostrophe enlarged, or
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, just keep going.
And then inside of that will be the same shape repeated, but a little bit smaller, a curve that tapers to a point.
Go ahead. I'm trying to go over mine to make it darker because I don't think the home viewers can see what you're doing. You have permission to tape this at home, get your supplies, and replay it. I'm sorry.
Well, you're doing a beautiful job.
Oh, you're just always so kind with your words.
Well, no, I can see that you're doing a really good job.
Is that a good job?
Yeah. Well, we're over it. We've got the dragon's head formed pretty well. So we're going to do the body. And the body's going to take a great big curve up and then make a big curve down, and you're going to stretch across your paper. So you're going to take where we left off at the neck. You're going to make the belly. It's going to be a big curve up, a little curve down, bigger curve up, and a little curve down.
Oh, boy. Okay, so big curve. Down, up, down.
Okay. So now you're going to do a parallel line side by side, come below the ear, and you're going to make the neck. You're going to make a shallow curve, shallow, bring it over closer to the side of the tail, side by side, getting tapering smaller and smaller and smaller until you come to a point. Beautiful. Dragons can come in many sizes and shapes.
You are an amazing teacher, and you just break that down so simply.
Well, the next thing we're going to do are these scallops that are on the back, and they're really zigzags with curves. So they're going to come out, they're going to point out in a curve and come back, point out in a curve and come back, point out and come back. And you're going to kind of work them all the way around the top of the dragon's body.
So this is the year of the dragon.
Yes, they, as I understand it, the moon changes cycle every 12 years, and so there's 12 animals in the Chinese culture, and they mean different things. And I was reading about the dragon. Do you remember what they said? What does it mean?
Well, I would love to read some of that.
Peace was
We
one
just
of them.
happen to have a book here.
Oh, good. That we got from our local library.
Isn't this your personal book?
Actually,
I am a librarian.
I actually am the best book finder. I go to Goodwill and find my books.
Yay for books. Yay for books. So it says dragons. First it says the animal zodiac.
Yes, that's what it is.
And it says each Chinese year is named after an animal. And each animal has a certain characteristic. Because the moon cycle begins again every 12 years, there are 12 animals in the Chinese zodiac, one for each year of the lunar cycle. And so we are just starting the year of the dragon. So anybody born this year will have these characteristics. Dragons are wealthy, wise, and powerful, eccentric, honest, and brave. Their friends are the rat and the monkey, but not the dog. Dragons are born in the years 1928, 1940, 1952, 1964, 1976, 1988, 2000 and 2012.
Wow. Every 12 years, yes.
Thank you for bringing these books.
Okay, so you can continue making your
All
scallops
right,
down
I'll
the back.
do that. Do they get smaller?
They get smaller. And I'm going to go ahead so that we can get one painted and demonstrate painting.
Please do.
So what I'm going to do next is there's lots of little of these half moon shapes that are scales inside of the body. And so underneath the ear and the mouth here, we're going to start. And the thing about these little scales is you want to change the direction and kind of match the edge of your curve on your big stomach area here. So, and they can be in kind of rows, or you don't. In art, you don't have to draw every scale on the dragon, but just give a sense of it.
I'm listening.
So we're going to fill up the body with scales, and
But you said you don't have to draw everyone, just the illusion?
no, yeah, just a sense of the texture of the skin.
Oh, falling apart back there.
So we'll draw those, filling up the inside of the body. Beautiful. You've really done a great job with your dragon.
You're just a master teacher.
Well, thank you very much. I really believe in drawing very young with children and going through your whole life. Most of what we know is visual imagery, so the better we can draw, the better we can understand things. So after you fill up the inside with scales, and we're going to go down and get the legs made. And the way that this artist did it, they started with a great big curve going down with a half moon shape, like that. And they drew the larger muscle on the upper part of the leg. And I always tell my students when they're drawing a leg, if it's shaped on one side, what's it shaped on the other side? So in this picture, there's a little bit of a knee, so you're going to come down and swing on down. And then the other side starts to taper in really close. And then we end up with some claws. One claw, and then we're going to come over and curve up and curve down and repeat that into claws. So curve up and curve down, curve up and curve down, curve up and curve down. So we've got one foot, and the other foot is going to be behind, so we're only going to see a little part of that. So it'll come out from the edge.
So it's right on the bottom. It almost
Yep.
looks like a chicken drumstick.
It kind of does, and they, the Chinese dragon, they do have the fur and the feathers, and so it's an interesting combination for a dragon. And of course, that's the home of the Komodo dragon, a real dragon. So you're going to bring your legs, start them big, taper them, bring them in close together for a little bit of the ankle. Then you're going to draw a claw to the back and 3 claws to the front. 1, 2, 3. Okay, beautiful. Great job on that dragon. And so to show the belly underneath the dragon, as you finish your foot there, we're going to draw a double line from the chest, skipping over the leg, and then under the leg, and then all the way around, touching the lower part of the tail. And we're just about ready to paint.
I'm hoping it's going to show up a little more. I hope our... Oh, so the... Okay.
Okay.
So now this starts right here, and just sort of parallels.
Yes, and comes right around.
And that's the other side
yeah.
of him to
And
make him a
skips
little more
under.
three-dimensional.
And then we're going to do a little detail on the tail.
Okay.
And it's like a little bit of fire out on each side, so they're little feather shapes coming out.
We only have 5 minutes left.
Okay, well, I'm going to go right far ahead.
Okay,
and
why
start
don't
to
you
paint.
just go right ahead.
Start to paint. And when we paint, I would like to say a thank you to Encore Arts, who is a nonprofit art
nonprofit.
group, and we won one of their grants this year, and they
Oh,
provided
good.
these beautiful paintbrushes.
They're wonderful, and they're
that's
nonprofit.
a local group of people that provide supports for the arts.
Okay.
Yeah.
We only have 5 minutes.
Okay, so we're going to take, and we've got the paint is watercolor paint, and we've got it thinned down to a light pink. Some areas you're going to leave white, so those scales, leave those dry and not touched by paint. And then you can take and drop in a little deeper color.
What about the eyes?
And you want to leave
Eyes white?
Yeah, you want to leave the very little white dot in the middle to leave some of the accent. And start to add a little more of your color. We're using illustration board today, which is a really nice.
Oh, is that what this is?
Yeah.
Is that why this is so much thicker? Mm-hmm. And what do you mean illustration board? Is this what artists use when they illustrate
Well,
books?
there's all kinds of things. We can use illustration board or watercolor paper.
This is very thick.
It works really well.
This is
Illustration
probably
board.
frameable paper.
Yes.
I mean,
It's got a nice firm surface to it. And
very firm.
Kids do really well with it.
I hope yours is showing up
Well, the red is starting to show.
on television.
Yeah, it's starting to
Good.
show. I hope.
But your directions were so good that if a person videotaped this
And went through it slowly.
and
they
went
could-
through it slowly, they could just listen to your instructions.
Well, thank you so
they could probably
much.
almost do it with their eyes closed. Wouldn't that be an interesting activity?
Well, it'd be hard to do with. Sometimes we do that with music. We'll have kids draw to music and listen and draw what they hear. They have their eyes closed. It's kind of fun.
That's probably kind of abstract, though, isn't it?
Well, it produces something real loose and easy. Okay.
We're down to 2 minutes, my friend.
Beautiful.
I'd like to know where that time went.
And so watercolor can be light, it can be dark, but it's meant to be mixed with water. So you get these really tiny tubes, be sure and mix it with water. And when you get to a really small place, use a small brush. Large brush on large spaces, small brushes. You can really get some beautiful detail with your large brushes.
Now, what about the other side? We drew that line on the other side of the body. Do we color that too?
You can. You could take your tiny brush and outline it. Would look really
See, it's time for me to
nice.
retire this brush and
And you could get a
use a
really
smaller
small
one.
brush. Here's another beautiful brush.
thank you.
Now, brushes can last really a long time if you clean them with cold water.
Okay.
And because they have glue in them, you don't want to use hot water.
Oh, I didn't know
Yes,
that.
and you want to clean them thoroughly.
Is that true with all
and then
brushes or
shape-
just art brushes?
Well,
'Cause
all
I
art
clean-
brushes for sure.
Oh, 'cause
But
I
then you
clean
want to
brushes-
reshape the tip and let it
Okay.
dry with a good shape. If it dries with a good shape when you go to use it, you'll be able to have a really nice tip. And so that's one of the biggest things. We try to teach our children how to good brush use so they last for a while. And if you want a really small line, then hold your brush straight up and down and use the tip of the brush.
You know, I feel funny telling you this, but they claim
It's
only
already
one more
done.
minute.
Well, that is just fine.
And your dragon's done? And you do
Excuse
that in
me,
about
sure.
20 minutes. Wow, that's because
Well,
you're
there's
the
a little more
master.
detail. Now, another thing to do too with your art is walk away from it and look at it a few times.
Okay.
Maybe you'll see some part you want to change or add or a little
Okay.
variation. Artists need to look at their work a lot until they go, yes, I like every part of it.
Okay.
Every inch
Well,
of it.
and I noticed that your red's different, and it's not all the same red.
Right. If you thin it down, it'll turn pink.
So
And-
you want it,
Well, I like dark and light, so I tend to
Dark and light,
paint more.
okay.
I call it more passionately, but
Well, Diane,
I like the dark and the light.
I want to thank you so much for joining us. If people want to get in contact with you, does Mariah Art have a website?
We do.
And so you could look for Diane that way if you had questions about our dragon, if you missed something, and that would be all right if they did
Oh,
that?
absolutely.
Okay. So thank you so much, Diane Gaile. And again, Gaile is Gaile. I apologize for spelling it wrong in the
That's
credits. Thanks to our home viewers. Please tune in and watch us again sometime. Thanks for our wonderful crew. We have John, Jim, and Jerry. They're all J's.
Thank
and
you.
Tom Dubuque. Bye. Thank you.
We the people here decree we've the right to life and liberty. We're all created equally in America, and we're going to live here happily in America. Our founding fathers crossed the seas and built the new world colonies. But King George wouldn't set them free, so they fought a revolution, the American Revolution. Oh, we the people here decree we've the right to life and liberty. We're all created equally in America, and we're going to live here happily in America. The English army came in boats. It was buckskin versus bright red coats. Then the Yankees won the war and wrote our country's constitution, the United States Constitution. Oh, we the people here decree we've the right to life and liberty. We're all created equally in America, and we're going to live here happily in America. Through the passing years, the pioneers crossed the frontier without rest. Oh, the land was new and this country grew from the east coast to the west. Oh, we the people here decree we've the right to life and liberty. We're all created equally in America.